How are you, Ben?
Where are you, Geoff?
I am sitting next to the 14th hole on the west course at Royal Melbourne.
Oh, you lucky dog, you. Oh my gosh. That's still one of my favorite courses in the world. I tuned in a couple of weeks ago to watch Kingston Heath in Victoria. Uh, I happen to be, as we have talked, an unabashed fan of the Australian courses, especially in the Sandbelt. There's nothing like the Sandbelt anywhere in the world. I still reckon that they're the most handsome bunkers I've ever seen in my life at Royal Melbourne, Kingston Heath. There's simply because there's no sand like it anywhere on the face of the earth. But I just really enjoy it. I watch people play it. Having been there, it's really fun for me to watch. And I know they're coming up with another one here pretty soon. What do they play, Geoff, within a week or two?
We play, there's a Sandbelt Invitational tournament. We play Kingston Heath, Royal Melbourne West, Yarra Yarra, and Peninsula Kingswood North Course.
Oh, I've seen Yarra Yarra, which is wonderful too. But God, they're spectacular. They're spectacular.
Geoff was talking about the sand in the Sandbelt is very angular, and therefore it can compact in a unique way. And that's how they can cut those sharp edges of the bunkers, which kind of blew my mind. Like I never thought about the different properties of sand. I would like to hear you guys talk for 30 minutes about different sands and how it's affected your lives as designers, because that's incredible to me.
Well, I can just tell you the first time I saw Royal Melbourne, I've never seen anything like it. And actually, the first course that I played in Australia was Metro, which was wonderful, just wonderful golf course. But I went over to Royal Melbourne, and the size and the scope, and I'd just say they're magnificent bunkers. They're meaningful. They're bold. But yes, I don't think there's any sand like it on the face of the earth. It's one of the very few places, like you mentioned, that there's no collars on the greens. They just roll them, they just edge right into the bunkers, which is a unbelievable contrast. And when you're standing out there trying to hit an approach shot to any of those greens, it's very vivid, and it does mark where you're trying to go. But I think the size and the proportion and the different ways that that really Mackenzie and Alex Russell to me is maybe one of the unsung heroes of golf architecture anywhere in the world. What a craftsman he was. And I really do count myself very lucky to have spent a couple of hours with Claude Crockford, too, who was the old greenkeeper at Royal Melbourne. And I'll never forget a couple of things that he said. He stunned me with this one. He said, you in America try to grow grass. He said, we try to keep it from growing over here. And it has sort of an insight as to his expertise and a craftsman. He grew up bowling. He grew up building bowling greens in Melbourne, and but the way that they keep golf courses and the way that their agronomy standards are as high as anywhere in the world. He described the process of how, every 3 or 4 years they re-turf the grass, and he definitely believed that compaction was the bane of all diseases. I just don't think that I was ever around anyone who was that learned, and he was so avid in his principles. And I'll never forget this too. One day I played with Greg Norman at Royal Melbourne in 1988. It was a very, very hot day. and the wind was blowing hot from the north. It was about 100 degrees, about 10% humidity. I got through and I went, God, I just want to see what the crew does out here. The place looked like it was going to be on fire. And a small crew went out with a handheld hose and spent about 2 minutes on each green. And then they left. And I said, well, that's unbelievable. But it's, when you talk about firm conditions anywhere in the world, I mean, yeah, links in the UK when you've had a drought. But to me, I was treated so many times in Melbourne to play on firm surfaces. So healthy. Think about that a lot. But there's no other place that you can do it, though.